Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Washington Leadership Institute Community Service Project. We are excited to be here, and my name is Erica Evans, and I, along with Miles Russell, will be your moderators for tonight. So our goal with this webinar is to listen. It's to listen to gain tools and wisdom on how to dismantle and combat white supremacy as underrepresented attorneys in the legal profession. Now we have a group of panelists that are national stars and giants in our legal community. We're going to start by first introducing Jeffrey Robinson. Jeffrey is a national superstar. He is the executive director and founder of the Who We Are Project, an organization that aims to change the American history on racism and how it's told.
Our next panelist is Twyla Carter. She is the National Policy Director at the Bail Project, a national nonprofit organization that provides free bail assistance and pretrial support to thousands of low-income people every year. Prior to joining the Bail Project, Twyla was a senior staff attorney in the Criminal Law Reform Project at the ACLU National Office, where she litigated local and state bail inequities and right to counsel protections in the federal courts, and designed alternative bail and representation policies and procedures.
Our next amazing panelist is Sharon Sakamoto. Ms. Sakamoto is a third-generation Japanese American that was born in an American concentration camp in Idaho. Ms. Sakamoto is one of the founding members of the Asian Bar Association of Washington and its first president.
Our fourth panelist is Denise Diskin. She serves as the first executive director of Q Law, whom she joined after nearly 10 years of legal practice representing individuals harmed by discrimination. Prior to her service as executive, she started in 2009 as the member of the LGBTQ Legal Clinic Committee, which she went on to chair from 2011 to 2013. She also started a partnership clinic with the Ingersoll Jenner Center. Thank you for joining us, Denise.
You know, I really see our legal system as a series of agreements. And we have to decide if we still agree with the things that have been the system for a long time. We have to decide if we still agree with this is what we still want.
And I think we have to be consistent in our approach to dismantling white supremacy by how we live our lives at home, as well as at the office, as well as with our clients, as well as with our parents, as well as with our children. I mean, it's a consistent effort to build a new structure, to change the attitudes, to change the thoughts, and to bring about more camaraderie, more community.
We're going to spend over $4 billion celebrating Juneteenth. And that is a fine and wonderful thing. It is an important earmark and landmark. But there are many, many people, Republicans and Democrats, who voted for Juneteenth as a holiday, but they're uncertain or against H.R. 40, the bill that would form a commission to investigate not just slavery, but what came after slavery up until today, and then make reparatory proposals to Congress. And when people say that would cost billions of dollars, my response is, you just spent $4 billion over the next 10 years on a freaking holiday. So changing the national anthem would be a great thing, but that's not my number one priority. My priority is something that's going to start changing people's lives. And I think that we can point at the national anthem and how that came about to help people understand just how deep-seated this anti-Black racism is in America. And so that's where I come down on that question. I will definitely support a new national anthem, but talk to me about that after H.R. 40 gets passed.
I would definitely say to find a mentor of women of color who either work in your exact legal profession, in your firm, in your organization, or just generally, so that they can help assist you work through all the different experiences that you might have, whether they're large or small, explicit or implicit. I will also point out the flip side of that, though. The flip side is that white guilt, especially if you're going to live and practice in a liberal, white proclaimed, self-proclaimed, I should say, liberal and progressive area like Seattle, which is my home as well, you're going to encounter really well-meaning white people on the job who may or may not give you very honest criticisms about your performance. So while you're also seeking out mentors to help you just navigate this space, also look for people of color, women of color in your exact job who you can do tasks with, projects with, so that when you're receiving constructive criticism, it doesn't have the underlying tone of, does this have anything to do with race, gender, or an other issue that you don't know about, instead of just being the merits of your performance. I do find in my experience that a lot of really wonderful white people who are very self-aware of implicit bias and racism then tend to be paralyzed with guilt when it comes time to actually giving you honest feedback about your work. And that's not helpful to you in your personal and professional development. So again, seeking out people of color, women of color that can also advise you in a very real way, not just to navigate the space, but to also counsel you in an honest way that's going to help you develop and improve over time. Appreciate that question.
Thank you, Twyla, for.
In terms of allyship, I think, for white folks, this can't be an intellectual exercise. I was thinking about this today because, it's like 105 degrees. I don't know if it cracked 110 quite in downtown Seattle, but it's hot as blazes in Seattle today. And there are people working in Kent in the Amazon warehouse who don't have air conditioning. Now, if I advise one of those people about their rights at work, I'm going to go home to my house, which is mildly warm. We also don't have air conditioning, but I'm not doing heavy labor in it. And I have a nice air conditioned office to go to. So I can talk to that person all day long about their rights, and nothing changes for me based on the outcome for them. And I think that's one of the things that I think as white people, we really have to get real about, right? We talk about the true costs of a lot of things, right? Particularly, what's the true cost of our food, for example? If we're paying $5 for a flat of strawberries, are we really accurately paying for the true cost of bringing those strawberries up from, California or wherever they were grown? We need to get real about the true cost of racism, right? And I think as white people, we don't feel it because systemic racism has meant that we don't feel the true costs.
When I think of allyship, it is very important. You can't have truth and reconciliation, meaningful truth and reconciliation in this country without white people being involved. And I do recognize and see the paralyzed state that a lot of really wonderful white people get into because it's daunting for them, or I don't want to fill in the blanks of the experience of feeling that. But what I always say as well is, while you're thinking about how to be comfortable to talk to the judge, or you're thinking about how to be comfortable to approach that person, we're dying in the street, we're dying in cages, we're losing jobs, we're losing housing, we can't be buried in particular cemeteries, while you're trying to find your comfort zone, all of these things are happening. And one of the biggest challenges in working with allies on this topic, this very important topic, is this idea that being a good white person, if you will, somebody who's not racist, is enough. And it's not. That's actually the absolute bare minimum of the starting point. Right when you start to feel discomfort is the starting point of when the work should begin. And it really does require then anti-racist policies and practices that are self-imposed individually and on a systemic level, because we have to protect ourselves from ourselves, which means that we have to actually put policies in place that undo the damage that's been done, whether it's reparations or other things, policies and practices that can be put in place. It's not just, beyond, and I feel you, Denise. I mean, I get it. This is a conversation that we've been having for years and generations and decades, and will probably continue to do so. But there really is a big gap between, listen to what we're talking about, the gap between, white people just recognizing if they can even see the issue or not, which is all around us everywhere we go. If I'm going to get followed in the store, I can't really say why, but I know exactly why, right? You feel me? From that to, blatant racism that you see, and to have a state of guilt or paralysis to the point to where we don't have anything getting done, which is where we are now, means that we have a really long way to go.
So y'all are at a point coming into this profession where anything is possible as long as you don't let yourselves be restricted by what those like us who have come before you have done. If you look at us and say, I want to be like them, don't be surprised if you end up 50 years from now in a place that's just like it is right now. You've got to be better than what you see going on, and you're capable of doing that. And this is the perfect time. It's like, being a lawyer right now, if you're going to do this in a way that makes sense and that is intentional, there is no better time in American history than right now.
I'd like to start with Nyoka on this next question. And in the first webinar, panelist Twyla Carter was asked about advice that she had for young women of color who want to go to law school. She said, know yourself and accept that you'll experience and see white supremacy, microaggressions, and white guilt in the legal profession. What was your reaction to Twyla's advice, and did it resonate with you? Also, when you're answering this question, think about how does her insight align with your own personal experience as a female attorney of color?
So I absolutely agree with Twyla. I think when I first became an attorney, I was just excited. I was like, I'm an attorney. I'm a part of this group of people. You feel like you're a part of like an elite group of people because now you're an attorney. But I think you soon find out that even though you're an attorney, if you're a part of kind of a marginalized group, you're just seen as different. It doesn't matter. We all went we went to law school. I can have the same experience as every attorney in the room and even the judge on the bench, but I will be treated just a little bit differently. I can't tell you how many times people come into the courtroom and walk past me and say, where's the prosecutor? And it's like, there's a concept that it can't be her for some reason. So I think that Twyla's advice that to just always be yourself, to be who you are, and without shame, and come in here knowing who you are into this field and maintain that, I feel like that is essential. And I feel like that's the only way you can kind of get through and be successful in this field is if you stick to your own morals and stick to who you are.
I'd like to open that question up to Javier and James for your reflections on that and how that aligned with your own personal experiences. Let's start with Javi.
Sure. I mean, I completely agree with Twyla. I also completely agree with Nyoka. Obviously, my experiences are completely different, as a male versus, what a female attorney has to go through. But a lot of the stuff that I've felt either as, a Latinx or Latino attorney or a gay attorney, like the biggest things for me are sticking to who I am and making sure that, I'm not wavering or, making myself less than to appease, this white heteronormative majority that exists in our profession. Just like Nyoka, though, I've had moments where court staff will walk past me and be like, oh, you're the attorney? Or like, oh, do you need assistance? Like, do we need to contact an attorney for you? And it's like, you've seen me in court a few times, at least once or twice, actually arguing before the court and introducing myself as counsel. And so it's always disheartening, but I know that, if I do my best and like I stick to who I am and making sure that other people know who I am, that, that's what matters to me. I'm not going to let someone else take away my light because I've worked hard to get here. Others like me have worked hard to get here. Everyone on this panel, everyone on the panel one worked hard to get here. And so, we got to make ourselves heard and known, even if it makes us uncomfortable.
Just kind of latching onto the theme of identity or just kind of different issues or interactions with the court, I could kind of share a couple of experiences that I've had. And I do that to say that it's not only, white individuals that will do this. And I use that preface to say that when I was a prosecutor, I had a Black attorney come up to me, and before I did a plea calendar where it's literally, I'm just a talking head. I had nothing to do with this case. Comes up to me and is like, you should be ashamed of yourself for putting Black people away. And I think I'm 1 or 2 years, out of law school. Like, what are you talking about? And it was someone I respected. Another incident I've had is a judge that I was before just one day prior. I was in court the next day, just observing, kind of dressed how I am right now, not in a blazer, but with a button up, normal. And the bailiff came up to me and it's like, hey, are you here for your calendar? Are you here for your hearing? And I'm like, nope. And that's how I left it at that. And then while the judge was in the middle of another proceeding, stopped that proceeding to tell me to go check in for my case, even though I'm amongst a group of 4 or 5 other people who are all prosecutors, but they only singled me out. You have to carry that weight with a lot of different things. And it took time and thick skin to get through it. And it's something I reflected on. And one of the reasons I ultimately left prosecution is I didn't want to bear that burden anymore.
Was probably last summer when all the protests were going on. And every prosecutor I knew who I was close with, we all had to really think about what we were doing and if we were doing the right thing. Are we a part of this problem? But like Javi said, I think about if I leave, who's gonna be here? If I leave, there's been so many times where I'm literally the only person in the room when we're talking about a case or a motion or whatever who notices something that's so obvious to me. But everybody they're oblivious to the ways that different communities live. And so I feel like if my voice is not here, whose voice is gonna be here? Who's gonna replace me? And what will they say and what will they do? And so I've definitely felt alone many times. I've definitely had times where I wanted to give up, but that is what keeps me doing the work that I'm doing, at least for now, is that I know that I'm needed. Someone with my experiences is needed in this role. It's imperative to have more Black people, especially Black women, who are able to look at cases, come up with different outcomes for people. And if I'm not here, it just may not happen. The easy thing to do is to just give somebody some time. That's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to try to find a different outcome. So yes, I've wanted to give up, but I'm still here.
So similar to Nyoka, I had some feelings last summer surrounding George Floyd's murder and things that kind of happened or didn't happen in terms of people speaking up. And some of the feedback I got was I was wondering what took you so long to speak up. And I was like, well, why do I always have to be the person to kick off the initiative, right? That gets tiring too, because I think it was Jeff Robinson was talking about, who do you want to be when you come into a courtroom and what kind of person you're going to be? And that carries into the workplace too. Do you want to be that person that's always, speaking up and saying, hey, well, you need to do this, or here's the Black angle on it. And then that has its own kind of, myriad of things that come with it. It's here we go again, we got to hear the Black perspective, but you do, right? To an extent, you need to hear that because you're not thinking about something that I'm thinking, just like I'm not thinking about the ways you look at things. But yeah, that gets tiring and you don't want to be it. I mean, I wish I had something more intelligent to say, but it just gets tiring. I would say we need you so that we don't become extinct. First and foremost, we've worked hard to get to this point, and if no one comes up to follow, you'll run out. And really want a diverse profession that reflects the community. And it's not just the same groups or the same people over time holding these positions. Going into law school, one thing that I really struggled with and grew into again on day one was I want to remain who I am. And I want to carry that through my practice. I don't want to, overtly just change for everybody and conform to the idea of what an attorney is supposed to be.
Jeffrey Robinson was saying in the first panel, this idea of being the first, first Hispanic attorney or first LGBT attorney or first female attorney, and not liking the title or the label of the first, because I mean, the reality is, that, it puts into perspective all the other people that didn't come before. And in order for us to stop being the firsts, there has to be a second and a third and more people coming in. And that doesn't happen until people like us or people not like us get into the profession.
If it's something that you're passionate about, if you know that there's some change that you can make, if there's something that you know that you can do and you can get done, then we need you to do it. We need people of all different backgrounds to bring the one thing that you think that people know, something that you may have grown up with every single day. I promise you, there are so many people in this field who have no idea about the things that you may have experienced as a kid or grew up with in your community. We need all walks of life in this field. And I think once we get more people who are just so different, it's really going to change the legal field. So I would just encourage them to do it anyway.